G'day, welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I have a pretty interesting little scope to have a little look at. Now this is the March F 1x to 10x scope, mini scope, tactical style scope. Listen, I've got it here for a little while ago. I started to do a bit of research on these sorts of scopes. I wanted to do a little bit more of this type of shooting that involves this sort of scope. And when I had a look around the place, I found that the majority of these scopes, even when you pay good money for them in the top end of town, are a fixed parallax scope. Around 100 meters generally is what they're fixed parallax at, which obviously works pretty well in the industry, works well for what it does. I get it. For me, in a quality scope, being not technically challenged, I want to be able to use the thing more thoroughly. An adjustable parallax is something that I feel should have been an option. Now it's not going to suit some, I get it, but for me an adjustable parallax was going to be important. When I was doing that research, I ran across one company that did have one with adjustable parallax. I thought, okay, that's interesting, I'll have to check into it. When I did check into it, I found that isn't the main feature about this little scope, although this one does have an adjustable parallax, which was awesome, so it got me to look at it. It's a 1x to 10x, like I said, and the more interesting features, I suppose, two things. One is the tininess of it, how small this is, but a very small scope. Almost too small, I'd say. It's run into a little technical challenge in going this small, but great little small, really small for people who want that. The more interesting bit is a dual focal plane. Yeah, you heard me right, dual focal plane. So, listen, what we're talking about in the short side of things is that this is a 30mm tube, and up the front here is a 33mm bell for the forward object, but nice and flat up the front here. I think the way most people would use these is a couple of 30mm rings and you mount it like that, just mount it straight up. I wanted to be able to move this around a little bit more on the various rifles I was going to sit it on. I put it on a 22 to start off with, and I went a little bit outside the box. I got myself some of the FX no limits rings. I got some in 30mm and some in 34mm. I used some 1/2mm high density plastic shims for the front, so then I could put the 34mm on the front here, and I put the 30mm on the back here, and then I could adjust it up to get my true zero at the bottom of where the reticle works properly. Not all the way down, this has more adjustment than it'll go outside of its ranges, so I took it down to where it had a good clean zero, and I think I got up around it's in mil, but it was around about the 90 minutes, 80 minutes, roughly 90 minutes of internal elevation, just to be able to push the boundaries on this thing a little bit further. But that's what I did, and that's how I set it up. But obviously you go back here, put yourself on your normal, whether it's a 30mm rail, a 40mm rail, 20mm rail, whatever it is, it's going to work properly, and it's certainly got the adjustment to get itself there. But that's how I used it to go out and have a little play. But you can see that this distance, that's a bit that we've got, that's short, that's something you're going to have to consider how that works in your combo. The dual focal plane, yes, very interesting. It's actually a step in a very smart step around a problem. This has got 10 times adjustment in its power. So in a first focal plane, that always runs into the problem of either too fine a reticle to see properly when you power right down to 1 power, and yet too thick a reticle to see when you go right up to full power. Generally, a first focal plane works really well. It was a really great idea in the 6 power sort of range, so when you only got 6 times difference in it. Once you go actually 4 times, it was even better, probably 5 times what it was made for, but it's in the smaller ranges where it works well. Once you step into the bigger ranges, then the first focal plane really starts to struggle. Too thick at one end, too in the road and the screen at one end, and too fine to see in the other end. Well, this combines a smart way around it. It's only the beginning of it, it's only the first step at it, I would suggest. The way they've done it with the dual reticles, the second focal plane is basically a simple duplex. Got slightly heavier outer arms and then a fine crosshair in the middle, and it has the center dot, which is the illuminated piece in it. And then the first focal plane, which to our eye sits behind that, is where the scaling is. So it simply has the scaling marks that get bigger as you power in and get smaller as you power down. But the way this works is you never lose that aiming point, because that's second focal plane and is never changing sizes. But when you power up or power down and have the problems where it's too small or too big in the first focal plane, that is just the scaling that changes. The actual aim point isn't changing at all. This red dot in here, it's a bit hard to video, but this red dot is actually using an optic fibre to pick up the light to transfer that red dot on. So it's always there. You turn it on, at least it's always there. It works really nicely because it is actually using the light to do that. It's a very smart little system. It really nice. I think this is only the beginning of the dual focal plane side of things. But like I said, that was an interesting quirk on top of this. So really sort of exciting to see that sort of stuff coming into the industry. The likes of the adjustable parallax, my thoughts, and in decent level scopes in these tactical, these 1x8s or 1x9s or 1x10s or whatever they are, to me it's sort of an option I'd like to see. Okay, it's not going to suit some, but for me it's an option I'd like to see. So awesome on that score. And then in general, the fit and the finish, it's a March scope. You know, they do a really good job, good glass, good bits and pieces for it. The way we used it, we just went and had a play with it the first time I've actually used it. I want to use it some more, but we just put it on a 22 and we're shooting Coke cans at 240 yards, so you know, just over 200 meters. So for a little scope like this, that's got to do its job well. It was high wind and all that sort of stuff. But listen, it's a fun little scope to use, and I want to put a bit more time into it. But listen, I thought it was worthwhile showing you. I think it is something to consider if looking for this type of thing. Really nice to use, little scope, set up nicely. You know, it's got caps and that sort of stuff on it. It's how we use it. But yeah, it's innovative, I would say. Let's leave it at that. Good job, March. Nice to see this sort of new sort of things come into the industry. We'll use it some more. But anyway, guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.